Hello there, everybody. Hope you're having a great night. It is time to talk about another weekend of possible wintry weather. Last weekend, of course, was the fun one because that was snow. And this one would not be very much fun if we had an ice storm situation. So, some changes as we've been going through the past couple days. Again, most of everything has been shifting toward the north. More North Georgia, but does include some of our northern counties. You can see here on the winter storm watch that is for a good chunk of the northern third of the state, but does include parts of our area. Jasper, Putnam, Hancock, Baldwin, Jones, Washington are all in this. And again, things can change. This could be a more northward system to where eventually all of our counties are left out of this, or it could be more of a southward thing. This is just where the line is drawn as of now from the National Weather Service, and you can see their thinking as far as impact there would be highest obviously up here. So if you had plans to go to North Georgia this weekend, that would be a bad idea to do that, or anywhere really toward the north. I think I would hold off on that because these things, as predictable as we try to make these things to be, they're still a little touch and go until you really get into the moment, especially to see how far south something can come down. When I say it's south, I'm meaning the temperature demarcation line. What is frozen and what's not. Now I'm going to show you the graph model, the latest temperatures from this, which shows Saturday morning somewhere low 40s, so that's not an issue. Through the day, Saturday probably somewhere in the mid 40s. But I did want to mention though, that as I'm going through these numbers, let me find that notebook again. This is, okay, so you see there 44 for like an early in the day high from the graph model. Some other models are showing 50 degrees, 39 degrees on some, so there's going to be a wide range of temperatures, and you're only going to see this model for temperatures here, but I'll tell you some of the other ones. Here's a look at Saturday night. So if the graph model is right, we're at freezing as we get into Saturday night, evening time. And so that means that anything that falls on the ground here, if we have any rain, would freeze on contact. So that would be the freezing rain. Question is that 32 line really this far south? I mean, a lot of the other models have it kind of cutting off here. Well, you can see with 32 there, the graph thing, so actually it goes all the way down to here. It's all of this northeast flow, this wedge up here in North Georgia. How far south does that cold air go? And that's the dilemma, trying to figure that out. But let's just say the graph is right, and we're at freezing Saturday night. And as we go through the overnight, we stay there, 30 to 32. Anything, obviously, that comes down is going to freeze on contact. And again, like I mentioned a couple of nights ago, this is the opposite of what we saw last weekend. I had a lot of people saying, how is it snowing when it shows 34, 35 degrees outside? And that's because the snow in all the upper levels of the atmosphere was created as snow. It made it all the way down through the sky as snow and landed on a surface that was not freezing, but there was enough of it that it stuck for a while and even actually chilled the surface and brought down the cold air with it as it came down enough that it did bring some numbers to 32. This is different. All the upper levels of the atmosphere are warm. So this is going to come down as rain, but the surface needs to be freezing. And that's where all these numbers are key, because then it will then turn to ice. Let's go forward. This is Sunday during the middle of the day. All right, now check this out. This is kind of wild. You can finally see it a little bit better. Tomorrow you'll be able to see this best, because then we'll be able to see all of Sunday on this graph model. This is as far out as this goes now, Sunday afternoon. But look at all this down here. Now this is kind of different. The GFS the other day was showing, we're going to be in the upper 20s all day Sunday. We could still see freezing rain for 2 to 3 days. Obviously that's out the window now, which is a good thing. But this low that's going to be tracking coming through here is going to pull up all this warm, muggy air. Now this is going to be, if this plays out like this will be a wild few hours, Sunday afternoon to Sunday night. This is at 1 in the afternoon. That's as far as it goes. So I'm looking on other models as we go farther out. all of this races up into our area, and all of a sudden there are a lot parts of our area that are near 70 degrees. Isn't that wild? During the day, Sunday. And you can see it already beginning here. So if I go backward and then forward, you can see it starting to surge up. And once we get into tomorrow and can see the rest of this model, you'll see all that green and yellow will start to move up. We'll have then rain through the day Sunday, and actually along all of this could even see some thunderstorms in here. And there'll be a sharp line somewhere on the bottom of this wedge. It'd be kind of wild. I mean, it'd be like you could step a few feet from what will be in the 30s to 60s to near 70. And we just don't know where that line's going to set up. Kind of wild. So we could have freezing rain Saturday night into Sunday morning. Then we could hit 60 something to near 70 briefly, depending on how far north this goes. Farther south, you'll be warm. Could have a thunderstorm or two. Then all this washes out as we go through Sunday night, and the temperature drops back down to freezing again by Monday morning. So there would be the secondary problem, is that all the rain that we get, it doesn't matter what the temperature is during the day, that could refreeze as we go into Monday morning. Now the difference is, in typical nights where it's freezing all night, and that's really going to set in to really turn things to ice, if we're going to be in the 60s to near 70s, it's going to take a while for this cold air to come in and really cool all that back down. So we may get to the upper 20s Monday morning, but maybe only briefly. Before sunrise, and then we start to warm back up. Now when I say warm, looks like upper 30s for highs on Monday, but that's not enough to freeze things. Now if there's still wet stuff out there as we go through Monday into Monday night, it is definitely going to freeze because we're going to be in the mid-teens Monday night into Tuesday morning. Okay, so there's a lot of different things being juggled here. Let's take a look at the graph model going with all those temperatures I just showed you. So this is tomorrow, by the way, a few sprinkles as we go through the day. Clearing maybe tomorrow night, good looking Friday night. Saturday, this takes us into the morning. North Georgia already starting to see some stuff. For us, if we saw anything, maybe a sprinkle or two during the day, one of the bigger things will be and this is kind of weird too, the precip's going west to east, but the winds at the surface are out of the northeast, bringing that cold air down. So you'll have a breeze coming at you one way, and you'll see the clouds going over the other way. So it's what it's doing. It's overrunning. It's called overrunning, where the moisture content overrunning this cold air at the surface. And so it's two different directions here. But there's some light rain in the afternoon as we go forward. At this point, the graph is thinking, well, if anything that falls in here now could turn pink, so that could be some sleet or freezing rain. Now, again, even if we were at freezing during this time, if there's no rain falling, it doesn't matter. There's nothing to freeze. So it's trying to pick up on what it thinks are a few spots. There's more back here, and you can see it going Atlanta area. For us, still not that much, Saturday night late, but as we go through the overnight into early Sunday morning, there could be a few spots here. And once again, I'm going to stop it right here for a second. This is that graph. If it's pink in here, that means it's thinking that the freezing air is all the way this far south. Other models, the GFS and the Euro, say that that cold air only comes down this far. So really the graph is the only one calling for seeing pink that far down. But I mean, that can change. It can change one way or the other. There's around 7 in the morning. And then you can see what I was talking about with those 60s to near 70 during the day. Line of showers, maybe a thunderstorm or two that will quickly race through on into Sunday evening, Sunday night. And on the backside, maybe there's a little bit of frozen something or a flurry or two, probably just rain leaving, to be honest, because it'll be so warm. And then we'll just see if anything refreezes Sunday night into Monday. Let's go to the GFS model. If you remember seeing this one a couple of nights ago, it was showing pink for the whole area. And it wasn't just Saturday night. It was all day, Sunday, Monday into Tuesday, which would have been awful. It does show those kind of colors up here Saturday night, barely grazing our northern counties, Jasper, Putnam, Hancock. It does come down a little farther as we go into early morning hours of Sunday, maybe as far south as Monroe, Jones, Baldwin, Wilkinson, and Washington. But again, any little jog north or south here of that 32-degree line changes things dramatically. You can see as we're heading toward morning time, we're going to start warming up down here, but that wedge, again, we call it the wedge because it's especially most of the time, is that cold air hits the mountains. You can see the mountains right there, come down and then pulls in like that. So it looks like a wedge. So we're on the edge of the wedge. We always are, but we don't know how far that edge is up or down. That's the determining factor. Let's go forward. Sunday afternoon, again, you can still see the wedge here, thinking that it's still something frozen up here even Sunday afternoon, but down here, a quickly changing environment. Then it finally does just bump up. And this is where we could see rain or a couple of thunderstorms, still frozen stuff back here. This is as we go late Sunday night, rain leaving, and then it just shows it just gone. Let's go to the European model. This one is similar. It shows that line south, but not as far south. There's Saturday night. You can see the changeover happening here. It does come down a little bit more. Jasper, Putnam, Hancock leaves it rain for us. Again, this model, I'm looking at it right here. The GFS, Euro, and the blend, actually, I'm looking. Everything is showing anywhere from 34 to 36 in the Macon area. Just as an example, I mean, I don't have numbers for every city and county here, but 34 to 36 all down here. It should be 32 there. But again, the graph is the only one I've seen, the one that you normally see, that graph model, now that we're within the shorter range where it can pick it up, shows below freezing all down here. So we still have some difference, but at least on these long range models, Euro and the GFS, there's some similarity there. There is Sunday afternoon, and again, you can see what I'm talking about. Line of showers, maybe a couple of thunderstorms, and just a quick warm up. And then this comes through, and then we start chilling out again. Here's a look at some of the ice totals with those models. There's the Euro. It doesn't show an actual number on there, but and really this scale is not that great. It looks like on this color table, the lighter the color is getting up here, you're starting to get into a quarter to a half inch darker pink, which is down in here. This would be a tenth to maybe a quarter, which doesn't sound like much. It doesn't sound like much when you're talking about rain or snow, but when you're talking about ice, that can be an impressive number. There is ice as far south as maybe Forsyth, Gray, Milledgeville, Sandersville on the GFS, if it's right. Now, if the graph is right, and I don't have numbers on that one, then all of us could see it. The NAM is totally keeping everything pretty much north of I-20. Let's see. Oh, and just to show you too, the wind will be a factor right here. As we go into Saturday, you can see it coming in out of the northeast. So that's that wedge really building in, that cold air coming in. And we'll probably have a 20 to 25 mile per hour breeze as we go through the day Saturday. Even possibly still gusty some as we go there. And then you can start to see the beginning of this coming up from the south. That is that warm front coming up with that low that's going to bring rain and maybe some thunderstorms. And you can see, I mean, there's a little bit of everything this weekend where cold wind, rain that may change over to sleet, freezing rain. You go into Sunday, this wind gets beaten out by a southerly breeze coming up, bringing 65 to 70 degree temps, humidity rising, rain and some thunderstorms, and then the northwesterly breeze kicks in Sunday night into Monday, bringing in super cold stuff for the start of next week. I hope that made sense. That's a whole lot right there. Again, the winter storm watch is mainly obviously for North Georgia. We'll watch, see how this goes as we go through the day tomorrow. Does the Weather Service want to drag this farther southward, leave it where it is, or cut some of these southern counties because it looks like it's more North Georgia? Again, last Sunday, you know, fingers crossed, maybe we can get it down here. That would be great. That'd be great. This is not one we really want. If you've never been through an ice storm, you'll just have to trust me. It's not good. If you can have a light ice thing where you still drive down the road and power doesn't go out and it's just kind of in the trees, that's pretty. But the big ones, you know, it's going to be a total shutdown. So again, you can see that obviously North Georgia has the higher risk. and it gets smaller as we get into our neck of the woods. And again, just to show you these numbers in case you're just joining us. Low 40s, maybe upper 30s Saturday morning, 40s during the day Saturday. There's Saturday night, again, when we could possibly start to switch over into freezing land here overnight, still going into Sunday morning. And then you can start to see again that wild thing that's going to be going on Sunday. So let me see if I can. Will it let me draw that on there? What front is that? Oh, yeah. All right, so there's cold air coming in on that side. And then what we have down here is the beginning of the warm front. As we go through the day Sunday, just streaming in out of the south. Warm air that will eventually make its way up. I don't know how far north. It may be a line like this. It kind of cuts off somewhere in here. Super cold above it, super warm underneath it, until all that rain and these thunderstorms come through from this way. And then it will sweep all this out. How's that for art? So yeah, see a comment over there. No certainty of what this weather's going to do. Yep, that's the takeaway. And really, we won't be certain until we get into Saturday night what we're looking at. Because, I mean, it's an imperfect science still. And clearly, we are not in control of what this does. So whatever it's going to do, we'll know then. But there is a look at tomorrow, again, to show you some off and on rain possible during the day, clearing out tomorrow night. Saturday, again, a breezy day out of the northeast. You may get a few sprinkles. Get into Saturday night, overnight, maybe some patches of sleet or freezing rain if we even have rain. Could have some as we go through the early morning hours. And then the temperature starts to warm up. And again, you can see that line of showers, maybe a couple of rumblers back here. And they'll quickly come through. There's the back edge, and then we'll start chilling out again that night, Sunday night. Quick look, GFS drags it down almost as far south as Macon, then starts to pull it away. Euro, similar, but not as far south, and then also turning over to rain Sunday evening, and then clearing out and going cold. So whether we see anything like sleet or freezing rain as we go through Saturday night into Sunday morning, that's one thing. The second thing is whatever rain that we do have, and we will definitely have rain Sunday, could refreeze as we go into Monday morning. But again, we will have warmed up a pretty good bit with that warm front Sunday. And even with that cold blast coming in, we may see upper 20s by Monday morning, but we're not going to be sitting there all night. It may take all the way through the night to sunrise to get there, so it might not be long enough to cause a big freezing problem Monday morning as far as going to work and school, but we don't know that yet. And then anything that's still sitting around as we go through Monday with only upper 30s during the day, so there'd be some melt off if there was a freeze, will definitely freeze Monday night into Tuesday morning. I have some models putting us at 14, 15 degrees Tuesday morning. And then 20s to, let's see, what is that? Tuesday morning, I think around 15. So Wednesday morning, about 20 degrees. Thursday morning, I see mid-20s. I see a 14 on one model for Thursday morning. So once we get this cold stuff in, it's going to be super cold. Okay, I hope that explained it. So in other words, we're still just watching it. That's exactly what we're doing. So we just got to make a plan. Get the things you need and just chill. Again, North Georgia has a much bigger chance of seeing this than we do. And the farther north you are, the more into this you could be. But again, we're on the southern end that even as it stands now, even if we saw some, it doesn't look terrible. It'd almost be like when we talk about a dusting of snow, like a dusting of ice. What we don't want is a half inch or more of ice. And if we could keep whatever we do see to something like a tenth to a quarter of an inch, that's doable. So we'll see how it goes. Of course, we'll be doing updates and all as we go through tomorrow, and then getting into it all day Saturday and Sunday. Air mattresses are being inflated as we speak. Hotel MAZ will be open all weekend. Hope you have a great night.